And welcome to another edition of Sports Talk for You. My name is Aaron Bell. I have all my co-hosts here, Armand Ely with Adam Parker and Chase Gibson. We are joined by a very special guest today. He played 12 years in the National Football League. He is a Florida State alum and went to Northwest High School here in Wichita, Kansas. We want to welcome in Kamerion Wimbley. Hello, Cameron.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show with us today. We hope you're staying safe and staying healthy from all this coronavirus stuff going on.
Yeah, we're currently in a safer at home policy down here, but the weather is good outside. I've been outside a couple of times just to kind of get out and get some fresh air in a while. But we got Tom Brady here, so
yeah, I'm sure everybody's excited about that. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to ask you a couple questions and stuff about your career and about your charities and stuff. I first off want to ask you, what's it like just being from a small, I wouldn't say small city, but it's Wichita, Kansas, and then getting recruited by Florida State and then getting drafted by the NFL. Just explain your path to get there and what you did and how you achieved it.
Yeah, interesting. I just saw a Rivals article not that long ago that was talking about me going to Florida State in 2002. So I started with the Wichita Golden Bulldogs. That's where I played youth league football. That started by legendary Theo Chris. So I played a lot of games out there at Barry Sanders Field. Went to Northwest, played. Then went to Florida State, played 4 years, which did in the first by the Cleveland Browns. Spent 2 years there, 2 years out in Oakland, and then 3 years in Tennessee. So I spent a good amount of time in football. I definitely enjoy my experience. Right now, in transition into a second act, if you will. I've been doing a lot of business. We do a lot of good work with our foundation. We've had several football camps there in Wichita, Kansas during the summertime. I believe we currently have about close to 400 kids registered for this upcoming camp. Hopefully we can continue that, but we'll see how it goes. So, yeah, that's pretty much my football journey. There's a lot of stories in between there, but that's pretty much the thing.
Hey, Cameron, can you run us by? I know, like the draft coming up. What were you doing on draft night, and what was it like to hear your name selected number 10 overall?
So for me, I was able to draft day in Wichita. I was not in New York. Rented out an event center, so I was able to see a lot of my friends, coaches, members. Really, everyone was a part of that journey to make it NFL. So I was able to see all of those people there. We had a big screen TV, the phone. During the day, I just remember everybody being there. It was Coach on the phone, and Cleveland Browns selected 13th pick, and I was ready to be able to change, man, from that point. From being a Wichita native from the Florida State to now being drafted first round. So I really appreciate all the opportunities that come from great people. We've been able to connect with a lot of good people throughout the process, and we're still building those relationships today. So I really just valued that whole thing. It was a great experience, but definitely draft day in Wichita was memorable. I got to, hug some people, share some tears. It was a happy moment, definitely. So I just remember it, man. It was beautiful.
What was it like to coach to play under the legendary Coach Bobby Bowden at Florida State?
Oh man, Coach Bowden is charismatic, man. We had the opportunity to just listen to him speak. He was doing an FCA podcast the other day. He's a man of faith. That was definitely something that was, for me, attractive about going to Florida State University, to be a part of Coach Bowden and what he had done there, that dynasty that he put together with so many great players. And I'm still connected to a lot of those guys to this day. But Coach Bowden, man, he definitely is a charismatic guy. He taught me a lot about the game and what it takes to make it at the next level. I'm not a lot of people will be able to go through what we went through with him and Coach Andrews today, because the game has changed so much. But I think a lot of those lessons were really invaluable. And I mean, he's an icon. So if you mention like a GOAT, he's definitely one of those when it comes to just the coaching space. I think people think of him as that Michael Jordan or that Tom Brady of coaching.
Adam, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did. When you got drafted in the NFL, you were playing a lot of linebacker. Do you wish you had played more defensive end, or did you like playing the linebacker position?
Well, I think there are things about both that I really enjoy. I think linebacker allowed me the opportunity to really show my athleticism, to cover guys in space, and really get the opportunity to get a couple interceptions in my career, where defensive line is just go after the quarterback, and I enjoyed that as well. I was able to get to some legendary quarterbacks, man. So we got one coming here, and I definitely think that just my experience playing both positions, I think it was a good experience. Defensive end and getting a sack and changing the momentum in the game is, I mean, that's a rush thrill. That's what I got for. That's what I was doing a lot of, but I mean, I enjoy both.
Hey, Cam, another question for you. Some of these guys don't know you personally, but as I know you personally, but talk about, your experience on the football team. And I know some of the, people might think of you as a linebacker, defensive end, but you also were an amazing quarterback, an amazing punter. You did it all. So just speaking from experience, from my excitement, getting to watch you come up through high school and friend, and I just appreciated seeing you do those types of things, but also being involved in the community like you are, wings and things, and stadium status fitness. I mean, you got a lot going on, and and still time for your family. So just a lot of love for you, brother.
Hey, man. Well, thank you. And I try to go back to my quarterback mentality as an entrepreneur, man. We're really just connecting with a lot of people, being down here in Florida, building really good relationships. We've got great projects going. We do a lot of youth development work there in Wichita, like you had mentioned, with our foundation, the Kamerion Wimbley Foundation. So really, I mean, we appreciate everything the city of Wichita has done for our family and me personally in my career. So you're definitely a great friend. And I mean, I value this relationship. And I mean, we see today that, it's a blessing to be here and to continue to build. So I thank you for the opportunity to come on and speak with you.
Cameron, I have sorry.
What was the transition like from playing quarterback and moving to the defensive side?
For me, in Little League, I started out playing center, so I was pretty versatile, and I played multiple positions. So I played both ways in Little League on the defensive side of the ball as a defensive end and also quarterback. And then I also played safety coming into high school before I moved down to linebacker. But I mean, playing both ways and then switching, I mean, the mindsets for me, I just was so used to seeing the game from all the positions, because quarterback and linebacker are very similar, the leader. But for me, there's a lot of similarities in that way, that we pretty much get everybody aligned. We know where everybody's going. We got to know where everybody's at on the field. So just the versatility of being able to play both positions was really a benefit to me.
Now I'm going to ask you, so it's kind of be a trick question, so I don't want to throw any head coaches under the bus. But what was your favorite NFL head coach to play under?
Well, I mean, I enjoyed playing with all of them. I would probably say the biggest transition was that first year or so in the league under Coach Crennel. So I think a lot of the foundation work that allowed me to be successful in my career really was established and working with him. And obviously he's from that Bill Belichick line of coaches. So I would say that, and I really learned something special from each coach that I think helped me. But I would say Coach Cornell, NFL, a big influence on my career, and all the other coaches that were assisting as well.
Yeah.
You talked about that transition from Cornell, and another guy that was under Cornell on the same opposite side as Bill Belichick. And now that you've got Tom Brady in Tampa, what kind of difference maker does that make in Tampa Bay? And what's the excitement like there in Florida right now?
Well, I mean, obviously the work that he's done in the game speaks for itself. I think from hearing other legends and other people in the community who play football are very valuable to that football ecosystem. They're excited to have him here. I know the Bucs organization, they've expressed that. I think he's going to do great things for really sports and all of Florida, just because of the way he goes about doing things. Obviously having TB12, a very successful sports and fitness brand, is obviously something that's going to really boost up sports in this area, where I think people will benefit from just learning about health and wellness, especially in these times. So having Tom here, I think, is definitely going to be a value add in a big way. And I think it's already paying dividends.
Who is the quarterback you like sacking the most or wanted to sack the most?
Matt Castle.
Well, we had some good games against Kansas City. I would probably say Brett Favre is one of those guys. And Tom Brady, obviously getting Tom Brady in a game was big. But I remember sacking Brett Favre and thinking, like, this guy, you know, he's done so much. He's a legend. He's like one of those guys that a lot of my classmates, when we were watching football growing up in Wichita, they love Brett Favre. So playing against him and being able to get him down, I think, is one of those things that I'll always remember.
You know, playing, you know, in the defensive line like that, how much trash talking goes along, you know, in the huddle or between the two teams? Because you always hear all the trash talking that goes on, and you hear the players mic'd up. Tell us what is that like?
I mean, it was fun for us. We were playing some big rivalry games as a Cleveland Brown. We were going and playing a Joey Porter. We're playing Chad Ochocinco. So those guys are going to talk to you. So you're in your huddle and you know, Chad Ochocinco's across from you. He's talking to you. You're going to say something back. So I think it makes the game exciting, and especially when you're mic'd up. I've been mic'd up in a couple of games, and it just brings that emotion out of you. You know, you get the opportunity to take fans on that in-game experience with you. So I think it's just another way to engage and connect with just the love and the passion of the game. And it definitely is something that brings that energy that I think the fans enjoy, to see people going back and forth and that momentum going back and forth.
Who was the toughest lineman you had to go up against?
You know what? I was thinking about Whitworth, but really one of the toughest guys I went against was my own teammate, and it was Joe Thomas. So he's, you know, legendary tackle, played, you know, many years, many Pro Bowls with the Cleveland Browns. Now he's doing broadcasting. But I would say playing against Joe Thomas, going against him in practice, prepared me. But, man, I played against a lot of really good tackles. So I'll probably give it to Joe Thomas. Even though he was my teammate, I'll give it to him.
Hey, Cam, go ahead.
What was your experience with the Raiders and Raider Nation, and did you ever converse with the late Al Davis when you were with the Raiders?
Oh man, that was an interesting story because I was traded out there to Oakland. I was drafted in Cleveland, traded to Oakland, but it was an awesome experience for me. Definitely a culture shift going from Cleveland out to the Bay Area. But I mean, there's a lot of great experiences, great music, great people. Just the landscape is lovely. I really enjoyed it out there. The fans were great. I mean, the Black Hole was awesome. So I know the team going to Vegas now is definitely something that they're going to, miss having there in regards to the fans. But I mean, I enjoyed my experience out there. I learned a lot. And being with that organization, I had the opportunity to have a couple of conversations with Al Davis one-on-one, where he called me upstairs to his office. And those were some good meetings and great conversations. I asked some questions, and, he's a guy he's been at every level within the organization, coached, and then went to ownership. And I think nowadays when we're looking at business and we're talking about ownership and having ownership and equity in different companies, that was something that we got a chance to discuss. And, I appreciate those conversations, and I think it's helped me today in what I do business-wise.
Hey, Cam, I know you always had a chip on your shoulder when playing Kansas City. That was probably one of the hardest time to watch, is rooting for you as a Raider and rooting for the Chiefs. But you always seem to get the best of, like, sacking Mac. I mean, we didn't have the best quarterbacks back then, but you still got after them, and you still were able to get past that. Did you have a chip on your shoulder going into Kansas City every time?
Well, I always kind of felt like that was, my home stadium anyway, like, because I'm from Kansas, from Wichita. So it was really an opportunity where a lot of my classmates and people from Kansas who supported me got a chance to come and see me play. So I always thought that was really special. And some people I know are really big Kansas City Chiefs fans. So them being in the division, me getting the opportunity to play them and winning that game, it definitely got us some cool points in the community. So whenever we won, I mean, but it was definitely great playing Kansas City. Every time, I love the atmosphere, man. The stadium is always rocking. They've got one of the greatest fan bases I've ever seen. So they obviously got Mahomes there, so he might end up being one of the highest paid players ever in the history of the game. So we'll see what happens. But I think they're in good hands, man. They look really good.
Yeah. I want to ask you, what top schools were you originally recruited by, and why did you choose Florida State as that school?
Okay. There were a couple of schools that I liked initially. I went to some football camps. I was able to go and hang out with Bill Snyder a little bit at K-State, and I always admire what he did with the program there. But the first school I was really interested in going to was Nebraska. D'Angelo Evans was a player that I really followed and looked up to. And he went there, so I kind of was looking at following in his footsteps. After that, I'd probably say Notre Dame was very high on my list. I just connected with the football story. Obviously, we know that Rudy story.
Yeah.
And then up there, being on campus, all the history that goes with that, and the great connections that they have just with the university. Tennessee was a school that I considered a little, and it's funny because I ended up playing there as a professional. But I mean, my love was with Florida State. So when I got the opportunity to go there, I mean, I chose that over all the other options. But there were great programs. Michigan didn't offer. That was a school that I wanted to go to, and it's because Tom Brady was there. So it's good to see him come here and play now. But those were the schools that I was strongly considering.
Adam, Armand, do you guys have questions?
Yeah, who'd you model your game after?
Man, there are so many players. And Simeon Rice is a guy who comes to mind. Like my first NFL game that I got to experience was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they had Derrick Brooks. They had Barber. Man, they had just a stacked team here. But Simeon Rice was a player who could, he's a long, rangy athlete. He could get to the quarterback. DeMarcus Ware is another guy who comes to mind, who's had success at that same position and rushing the quarterback. So I wish I had that strength that Reggie White had. And there's so many great players, but definitely.
I don't think Reggie White was human.
Oh man, he was a beast animal. There are so many great players, but those are just a couple.
What can you tell the young kids right now that are, going through high school, playing at Northwest like you did, that are fighting to get that chance that you had, and they just have their doubts, but they want to keep pushing and pushing? What can you tell those kids?
Well, I would just tell them to keep going, man. It's like, try your best to live out your dreams and really try to access all the resources that are available to you. Like, there's so much on the internet that kids can learn nowadays. So I would just tell them to stay encouraged. Just look at ways that they can get a strategic advantage, whether it's they're taking care of their body, making sure they're getting proper rest, making sure that their nutrition's on point. And then also making sure that they're handling the academic side of things. That education is so important. Without that, I mean, nothing else would really exist. So I would just tell them to stay focused on those things that they can control, and man, let the chips, fall where they may, but just give it their best effort. And as long as they do that, just enjoy the game. And whenever it ends, man, it ends. But at least you gave it your best shot, and you could be happy with that.
All right, we've got time for a couple more questions if any of you guys want to ask.
And Kamerion, what was your favorite either NFL moment or favorite college moment when you were at Florida State?
I would say one of my favorite NFL moments was my rookie year, and I'm about to go out for a preseason game. It's in Philadelphia, and Donovan McNabb is the quarterback. I'm just excited, man. They've got Javon Curse over there. And I'm thinking, like, man, I'm going to go out here. I'm just going to wreak havoc. I'm going to be a star. And one of my teammates, his name is Willie McInnes, he looks over and he laughs and he's like, oh, my gosh, he thinks it's a real game. Like, to me, it didn't dawn on me that preseason was not the real deal. Like, I've always been trained, like, anytime I step on the field, like, it's all go 100%. But I think guys who are professionals who play at that level kind of know that, preseason is the dress rehearsal for the real thing. But I'll always remember that. And that guy was a mentor to me, and obviously he does great work now with the NFL Network. But it's just those relationships and just stuff like that I think once you're away from the game, you really value things like that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Which one of your pro or even college teammates who you looked up to as a mentor?
Man, there were so many. I would probably say in college when I first got there, I had a roommate from Louisiana. His name was Paul Irons, and he's a guy with strong faith, and me having that same faith, and us being able to go make it through those tough practices together and still remain strong and still remain encouraged and still pray with one another and help each other through that. I think that was something that I really looked up to, and I think a lot of that helped me when navigating the NFL space and all the things that come with that. It's just really staying focused. That was a guy that I really thought did a great job. He's a great business mind today, does great community work, but he was one of the guys that I looked up to. So I had the opportunity to hear from Derek Brooks, Warwick Dunn, Deion Sanders. Those guys spoke to us. Eric Crouch when I was in college with Nebraska. So there's so many people, but I would probably say Paul Irons when I was at Florida State.
Hey, Cam, you talked about your faith a little bit. How did that guide you through your NFL career, and what was it like after the games, like getting in the huddle, like from a fan perspective, and you see those guys at the end of the game kneeling down to pray after the game? Tell us what that's like.
Well, I was definitely one of those guys who was out there, and I think there's just so much that you you know, as a player, put on the line. Like, you're literally putting your life on the line. You can, you know, be injured on any play. The injury rate is 100%. We know the health risks involved with playing the game. So for me, to be able to play 9 years and all the years before that, I just feel like there's just, you know, something bigger than me that definitely is a part of the success that I've had. And it's just recognizing that, you know, my strength comes from a higher power. So for me, that's important. A lot of my teammates, that's how we feel. That's what we're thinking. And I mean, it's worked for us, and we just try to encourage people and really just add value in our communities. If we can help somebody get better in some way, that's all we're trying to do, and that's really what we try to mimic in our companies. So, I mean, we just really appreciate the opportunity to kind of help and get better in our communities in whatever way we can, and our faith is usually a big part of that.
Well, we want to thank you, Cameron, for being on the show today. It was great to see you. Great to hear about your career and how your life is going. We hope you guys stay safe down there in Florida, because we know the weather's nice. It's supposed to be nice up here until tomorrow. So,
yeah, man, we're just practicing social distancing, making sure we wash our hands, man. Like, we'll get through this. We definitely have pulled through things before as a country. So, you know, I definitely am praying for people who are going through tough times. We know that a lot of people are losing jobs. So there is something bigger than sports, but we know that sports has definitely brought us together. So I'm looking forward to seeing, like, even Michael Jordan's documentary released through ESPN. So, but yeah, man, we're just living down here in Florida, and you know, we'll keep it pushing, and we hope you guys do well as well.
we appreciate
Keep growing out that beard.
Thank you, Cameron. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for having
Hey,
me.
thank you.
Let's wrap this together.
All right, that was Kamerion Wimbley with us today. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Go ahead and like and subscribe at the bottom of our screen. We will have another show tomorrow. We will have Rick Parr on, general manager of AAA teams around his career. Adam Parker got a hold of him, so thanks to Adam Parker for that one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one tomorrow.
We all are. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.